And we are live. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the Forex market. It's always good being able to talk to each and every person that is watching us live in the mornings. What I'm getting ready to do is that I'm getting ready to go ahead and place a disclaimer. Then after that, we can go ahead and get started. Today is CPI day, and that kind of is kind of being the reason why the market is being kind of stiff. So we'll take a look and see what's happening before the big news that's going to end up happening a little bit later on today. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you're going to end up making money today. So with that being said, as we go through, for some reason, I don't know if this is something new, or I don't know if TradingView is trying to try something out new. But for some reason, every time that I end up going inside and placing in my messages, now I'm not able to see anybody. So I'm going to refresh. Hopefully, it doesn't kick me out. Let me try this real quick. All right, let's try that again. Arizona, can you see me? I can see your message, but can you see me? Just want to make sure. If you was on refresh your page, I just want to make sure everybody's good. Okay, I'm gonna hope everything's good. We'll try it like that. Once again, I'm not able to, for some reason, I have to refresh my page now to be able to see everything, um, which to me doesn't make any sense at this point. But let's see. Hope everybody's doing very well on YouTube and everything else like that. Hope everybody's doing very well on this one. I'm still not able to see messages. I can see that people are online, but I can't. But I'm not able to see messages. Um, Let me try it one more time. I'm going to try it one more time, and then after that, we're going to go ahead and move forward um, and see what happens. Let's see. Arizona, I see your message. Sam, I see your message. Stoney, I see your message. Uh, okay, that's weird. I don't get that. I don't get what's going on. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I just hopefully everybody can be able to get the messages and everything else. I got disconnected one more time, but um, we'll go ahead and jump into it. So today's CPI day. If you are familiar with what that actually means, we're looking at inflation when it comes down to food, when it comes down to different things like that. Today is the way that the market has been kind of reacting. Today is a big day. So we have to keep that in mind as we go through and look at different trading opportunities, try to keep our mindset when it comes down to how the market's going to end up reacting, um, and then kind of go from there. Saying that I'm disconnected. Okay, what is going on? Let's see. Meet allies. You see, did you see DXY and Euro United States dollar? I'll take a look at it real quick. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to keep one page that has just me talking, and then after that, I'm going to keep on refreshing, and then try to catch up with y'all messages while it's happening. Once again, that's it's not me when it comes down to that end. Hope everybody understands. I'm going to try to see if I can get through everything. If I do not catch your message early, I do apologize. I know we have a lot of people in here, and it's always cool to be able to talk to everybody. So I want to make sure that we can be able to get quality information. And if you do feel like you're getting disconnected, this refresh. I'm going to keep on doing that until I figure out what's going on, and kind of go from there. All right. So CPIs, we have that at 8:30. Remember, high impact news is always the same. Make sure that you end up taking a look at the first 15 minutes, see how everything kind of reacts towards that overall news, and then after that, make your move. over the course of the last month and a half, any news that has been coming out, it has been a big jolt of overall movement in the first 3 to 5 minutes. There's been a little bit of a retracement, and then after that, you end up having that movement. It's kind of giving me that 2018, 2019 vibe all over again on how the market was kind of reacting, especially when it came down to U.S. based pairs. So we want to keep that in mind on how the market is actually moving and kind of being able to make a decision on what's actually going on. But overall, you got to keep that in mind that I would like to be able to see how the market reacts first before being able to jump in and kind of being able to go from there. Uh, don't don't stress yourself on being able to be right on just trying to guess. Stress yourself on being able to get into the position where everybody else is getting into after the decision has been made, and be able to run your financials and everything else like that for us. Everything goes accordingly. All right, so there we go. That's what we're going to end up having today. That's going to end up running the overall day. Going into tomorrow, we're going to end up having retail sales. Retail sales will end up being pretty good when it comes down to that as well. Um, so numbers for unemployment has actually been okay, but we got to see how inflation is still kind of pushing the market overall. Let's take a look at the big three real quick. I'm going to refresh my page in about a minute so I can be able to see any other questions that have been placed in, and I'll be answering those as we go through. So just keep that in mind. Once again, if I do not see your message, yet because I haven't seen anything kind of placed in as of yet, just keep in mind that I am um, trying my best to be able to make sure that I can be able to see everyone's message while being able to do this kind of live. All right, so United States dollar index, what I ended up saying was this weekly. We ended up hitting a weekly D extension 3 weeks ago. We do not have a fractal high as of yet, and we're definitely getting inside of the sell zone. So this may be one of those catalysts to be able to make the United States dollar start to get a little bit weaker if we end up getting a high inflation report when it comes down to the numbers. Now, keep this in mind. High inflation affects everything across the board. So that means that even though typically you end up saying that the United States dollar index, if the United States dollar index is climbing, then after that indexes are falling. It may end up being overall the same thing when it comes down to both of those movements. Both of them may end up being pushed to the downside when it comes down to that. So you just got to keep that in mind when it comes down to that movement. I'm getting ready to refresh real quick. Here we go. Let's see what questions that we have now. Okay. All right. Refresh again. What about Bitcoin? We'll take a look at that one as well. We'll take a look at pretty much everything when it comes down to those movements. Uh, Sarub, hope everything's going well with you. Arizine, like always good to talk to you. Stonely, Sam, always good to be able to talk to y'all. Thanks for being here to pop in. Um, we might have to at some point. I just start doing all the comments through the Discord and everything else because I know that I can be able to see that rapidly if that does happen. If something was to happen like that. All right, but from a 2 hour perspective, we end up having this channel. At first, I thought it was a rising wedge. We ended up talking about that, then it fell down and went back inside of the channel. Currently, right now, we do have a counter trend line break to the downside. I talked about this being a bullish crown, meaning that I expected that the market was going to end up falling down at least to the B, which was right around this overall area right here, right around 13,422. But I really felt like there was a better chance of the market falling down to 13,360 before being able to pop back up. Obviously, because the weeklies in the sell zone and the dailies getting into the sell zone. So we're talking about a transition trade. Typically, transition trades take 2 to 3 months of overall movement to be able to happen. So I do expect that the market is going to end up falling down. Looking at Euro, United States dollar, we probably might end up seeing that the Euro probably might have popped up. The pound probably might have popped up. We'll take a look at those as well when it comes down to those movements. But I'll be selling against the dollar at least early this morning. Now we'll be confirmed on that overall movement after 8:30 when it comes down to overall direction. Type in a while, yes, that makes sense. I'll refresh my page and be able to see what's happening when it comes down to your questions. Now, oil. Remember, we end up saying that we're definitely interested in being able to buy on oil, especially up to 94.50 at this particular point. Once it breaks past 94.50, then after that, we're going to end up going up to the B and trying to see if the market's going to go up to 129. Now, obviously, if it goes up to 129, then that means that I cannot drive my truck any more longer. You're talking about $4 to $5 a gallon in my area, and I know what that'll be when it comes down to certain other people in their area. So I think that I'm hoping that the market from a selfish standpoint, I hope that the market kind of consolidates and then after that makes this movement. But we got to be honest. Remember, winter months is when oil really kind of thrives when it comes down to price actually going up in overall value. So we had our breakout. Typically, when there's a breakout, there will end up being a retest. Currently, right now, we're in the middle of that retest. We're at 72% when it comes down to the stochastic. I do expect that we have, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3. This is day 4. Typically, we have 7 to 11 days of overall movement to the downside before the market actually ends up making its retracement back up to the upside. So I want to be able to keep that in mind as the market is kind of making its movement overall when it comes down to that. So I'm not going to jump into oil as of yet. I do expect that the market will continue to retrace before being able to make any type of other move. And while that's actually happening, there's nothing to be able to do at this particular point. So right now, oil, not going to end up paying attention to it. Let's take a look at gold real quick. Get ready to refresh my page again so I can see anybody else's questions, and we'll go from there. Okay. Let's see. DX2 is doing wave 2 going to wave 3. I do agree with that. Up or down. If we're taking a look at United States dollar, I expect that the market's going to fall today. Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to fall today. All right, I'm going to refresh my page again in a little bit. But overall, gold, what is happening? So let's talk long term, and then after that, let's talk short term. Long term, we're still basically at support right around that 1681 number. Remember, the resistance is right around 2070. That's long term consolidation for us, that overall movement. Obviously, gold is not going to end up popping up to 2000 going into next week. So we're taking a look at this from a short term perspective. That short term perspective, we end up having this consolidation where the market was right around that 1681 to that 1806 number. The last time that we ended up making a trade on this one was late in September, I believe, when the market ended up making this initial drop to the downside. What day was that? On September 23rd, we ended up making that sale where we ended up going from 1660 all the way to 1615. Then after that, the market popped up, went back inside of consolidation for a little bit, consolidated, fell back down, and now it's basically at that same point. So the same rules apply when it comes down to this order. Looking at an order to the downside, I do expect that the market could possibly, if we're looking at an order to the downside, it'd be 1660 all the way down to 1615. If the market pops up, then the question would be, is it going to go back and try to get back up to that 1700 number? If it gets back up to the 1700 area, we do know that we have a free run area that was right around this overall space. I do expect that if that does happen, it will probably be the same. If it breaks out of 1685, I would try to run it all the way back up to that 1700 area before being able to kind of make a movement, or before being able to start considering being able to go out. Okay, so to the downside, 1615, to the upside, 1704. If it breaks inside of this consolidation, you got a good chance of being able to break above that 1728 number for it being able to pop up. Currently, right now, nothing to be able to do, especially with the news coming out. I want to see how the market kind of reacts off of that right now before being able to make a jump off of that one. Typing a Y, yes, if that makes sense. Gold, there's really nothing to be able to do unless it breaks above 1685. Once it breaks above 1685 for the buy, all the way up to 1704 at the first take profit. Then after that, 1728, that's the second profit. If it breaks down below 1660, look at being able to take a sale all the way down to 1615. Okay, you remember, refresh my page. I just want to make sure that everybody got that. And then after I answer your question, if you have it from there, we'll take a look at Bitcoin next. Okay, gold grind real high with news coming. Yeah, I think so. Like I said, just talked about both of those when it comes down to the overall movement. I do think that gold is probably going to end up being one of those. Um, It'll probably end up being affected about what's going to end up happening with these numbers. And obviously, gold is a fear number. I mean, people get into gold because of fear of what's happening with the United States dollar. and fear what's happening overall. So if news is very fearful about what's happening with inflation and everything else, then you will see that gold will start to be able to have a rise up in the overall value. Plus, it should, because the United States dollar is ready to, it's primed to be retracing at this particular point. All right. So Bitcoin, let's take a look at that real quick before we get into the index pairs. And if there's any other pair that y'all would like to be able to talk about, please make sure that y'all end up typing that in. We'll go through and talk about those. What just happened right there? Okay. Let's see. Um, I hate going to the weekly on cryptocurrency pairs. It doesn't make any sense to be able to do it that way. We just look at it like this. So we end up talking about Bitcoin having a strong support at 18,240 and a natural resistance right around the 25,000 number when it came down to that push. Since the market has been in this area, it's been in this consolidation range for how many weeks now at this point? Let's see. Stop doing that. Let's try this over. Try this over again. How many weeks has it been? Um, about 17 weeks at this particular point in time. Going into how the market is kind of reacting right now as we speak, I will see that the market is starting to move more towards support. We have a big jolt of overall movement. I want to see what's happening on Cointelegraph. Maybe that might be something. Binance Exchange burns 574 million worth of Bitcoin BNB tokens. Okay. Um, a Bitcoin price threatened support ahead of most hype CPI print. Okay. I'm going to leave that in the chat box so everybody can be able to take a look at that. That might be something for people that people that trade cryptocurrency a lot. That might be something to be able to take a look at when it comes down to this news. Want to see how the market kind of reacts off of that. It could be kind of scary based off of everything that I've been talking about for this movement. Because you take a look at this from a daily perspective. If this market breaks this overall low, the question is, I mean, how low is it going to end up dropping? I can say that it can easily fall down to 12,000. It can easily fall down to 12,000. 13, well, at least 13,000 when it comes down to that movement. And then after that, obviously there's a D extension at 8,000 if the market falls down that low. Now, once again, for people that have been long-term holding, I know obviously that's a very disappointing number to be able to look at, but it's also some opportunity for people that have not got in, that have not got in to be able to find that number and be able to use that as a buying opportunity. So if you are a buyer, especially if you end up seeing this thing kind of hold right around that 18,240 number, then I would look at possibly being able to place in an entry. And if it looks like it's going to end up falling, possibly may end up kind of not necessarily liquidating the position, but try to find another number right around that 12,000 number. I'm going to be a little bit patient. I already have some positions in. I just want to see if it can be able to fall so I can be able to get a better price. But overall, once again, nothing to be able to do, at least not yet. But I do want to see how these numbers are going to end up affecting the overall movement of the market. Today, it seems like it's like the calm before the storm when it comes down to this overall movement. It may end up being something big that may end up happening in either direction. It can go either direction at this particular point. Ethereum. Ethereum's been inside of that triangle that we end up talking about for the longest. It's finally ended up breaking to the downside. Remember, I ended up saying I wanted to be able to get in right around 1249. There goes our entry point right now. If you wanted to be able to take the sale at this particular point, we ended up saying that if it does fall down, we had two positions where we could be able to look at being able to get out. The first one would end up being at 1,000. The second position would end up being at 722. So there goes your entry right there. Entry is on Ethereum if you are trading, if you are shorting Ethereum or doing anything else like that when it comes down to that movement. I said it, so I'm going to go ahead and place in that trade and be able to make that movement off of it. So give me 1 second. Scary times when it comes down to cryptocurrency. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to refresh real quick, see if there's any questions while I look at being able to place in this trade. Euro United States dollars, a downward channel on the daily. Would it break that? I take a look at it. EU pop up and down. Guess retrace back to the same area. Gold confirmed twice by DXY under the support. Um, what wave? I do more. I don't do necessarily Elliott waves. I do. I mean, obviously it's an ABCD type of swing, but I look at it more from an ABCD type of perspective, not Elliott waves. Uh, know what they are, everything else like that. But I do Fibonacci and retracements, and then after that, obviously volume breakouts for us being able to get in. Let's see. I'll refresh my page again in a couple minutes. But take a look at what's going on with this trade for cryptocurrencies. What's my Ethereum chart? New order. Let's see. Market execution. I am looking to sell. Stop loss. Stop loss on this one. 1398. Take profit on this one. I'm going to say 1005. Okay. In the market on that one. We'll see how the market kind of reacts off of that one. I hope that it doesn't, obviously, from just everybody else getting into the pair, but from a trader's perspective, I can't think about that. The setup is telling me this is the move, and we'll see how everything runs. I'm going to run my trail stop and everything else when it comes down to that, and we'll see how the market kind of reacts towards that movement overall. Let's see. 8 and 7:30. Okay. So there we go. I'm going to refresh my page, see if anybody has any questions about that. We'll get the Euro United States dollar real quick because we talked about the United States dollar index. Okay. All right, here we go. Euro United States dollar. Now, obviously, we talked about just a catalyst in general. What could potentially happen based off of everything that we end up talking about? If the United States dollar is going to end up being weak, then that means that pairs like the pound and pairs like the Eurozone and pairs like the Japanese yen are probably going to end up seeing the benefit of that overall movement. We are starting to see it was a large channel that has been moving to the downside, and currently we're still inside of that channel overall. It's kind of like what happened with oil. Oil would end up popping out the first time 2 weeks ago. It ended up making pretty much the same type of movement. From a weekly perspective, the market has hit the D extension at 96.48, so that means that the market is primed and ready to start being able to move. We do not have a fractal low at this particular point because there has not been 2 weeks that have fully closed above this overall area. Now, if this remains to be the same today and tomorrow, then we do have that fractal low to be able to work off of, and then after that, we'll have a new field that we can be able to kind of process and kind of put together. But I'm going to project one real quick. So there it is right there. If the market does pop up, the first area where that it would get up to and be safe will end up being right around 99.38. So we can say basically back to parity if that does happen from the Eurozone perspective. I'm looking at that from a weekly perspective, just starting off. From a daily perspective, we do see that the market getting closer to the buy zone. We have indecision happen over the course of the last couple of days. This will be one of those moves that, based off of how everything kind of showing itself, I would be kind of interested in being able to. I would be interested in being able to buy off of this. Now, I will lower my percentage only because of how low the market has been going overall. Because the market has been down overall, but we have a couple things that are going for us if we're looking at being able to buy on this position. Let's talk about them real quick. First thing is this: market end up doing a double bottom. Last week. End up making a big pop up to the upside, pushed up. So we got a breakout. The market turned around and retested in the same area, turning past resistance into a future support, which is right here, we have strong consolidation, which means that basically uh, the market is saying that the market probably won't fall down that low anymore, which means that if you want to be safe for being able to get into this position, you want to be safe for being able to get into this position. Anything above 98 or 97.60 would be the area where I would look at being able to get in. Obviously, the tight wound consolidation would make me say that um, anywhere around here. You want to be a little bit earlier. You could say 97.50 as a way of being able to get in, but I am gonna count obviously this big resistance and this dark cloud cover as the area that it has to be able to break truly before being able to move to the upside. So I'm going to say 97.60 would be the area where I would like to be able to get in. Obviously, my stop loss will end up being below the support, um, which will end up being at 96.60. So we're talking about 100 pips for its overall risk, somewhere around there. Yep. Reward, if we're going based off of the weekly and going based off of where this market could potentially go, and pushing back up to this overall highs of this channel, I would say parity. So right around right around $1. Let's see if it can make it back up there. Now, if you're long-term holding this, I'll place in two orders. The first order will be the order to be able to get the parity. The second order would be to say, hey, can we hold this for a while and be able to let it run? So I'm going to place in a pending order on that one as well. I'm banking on the United States dollar having bad numbers if I'm looking at this overall. Now, the question is, does the Eurozone have a catalyst to be able to move up to the upside? Currently, right now, I don't say, currently, right now, no. But um, I'm doing this solely based off the United States dollar potentially being weak. All right, so chart window, placing in a pending order on that one as well right now. I'm going to refresh my screen to see if anybody has any questions on that. Fatty, what's going on? Hope everything's going well. For some reason, my live chat and everything else are kind of frozen at the same time. I can see that people are live now, which is great, but the messages are coming in real late. So, um, got to play off of that. Um, Also, while I'm talking about this, if you're interested in being able to jump inside of our community Discord and be able to learn a little bit more about what we end up doing for trading ideas and everything else like that, we have obviously a free area of it. We have a premium area of it. If you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more information, you can be able to jump inside of that first link and be able to hop inside of the free portion of it. You'll be a part of the free access resource material area. Or if you're interested in being able to get customized indicators, customized expert advisors, and everything else like that for a very low fee of being able to get that done, you can be able to jump into that link right there and be able to get more information about it. But Discord done been up since October 1st, so we're talking about 2 weeks. Inside of the Discord channel, I'm actually going to end up talking about the newest EA that we end up putting together and the special that we end up having for the first 5 people that end up joining the elite. We actually end up getting that. Yeah, after 5 people end up joining the elite, I'm going to end up releasing that to everybody that's inside the elite for us being able to get that. It's fully licensed expert advisors that focus in on the Ikemoku Chino breakouts. I'm saying it wrong, but it's a very strong EA. Been working on this one for the last 6 months when it comes down to movements. Finally comfortable being able to push it out. Let's see. So Euro United States dollar order that I'm looking at will be a pending order at 97.60. 97.60 would be my entry. Stop loss will end up being at 96. I'm going to say 96.60. Take profit will end up being at parity, so 1.00. Because we are pushing against, um, because we're pushing against the overall direction of overall movement, I am going to say that I am going to go with a low percentage. I'm going to go with 2% of my account. Typically, on big moves like this, you would like to be able to go up 3, 4, 5%, but I don't see that that may end up happening. So I'm only going to risk 2% of my account being able to see this market kind of move. And we'll go ahead and place in that order. We'll see what happens. Got, there we go. Let's go ahead and get into everything else that we typically look at, and kind of jump into there. Any questions about that before I move forward? Any questions about those before I move forward? You remember refresh? Mark's been brutal this week, catching up on good flips today. Nice, nice. There we go. There we go. Yeah, market's been slow because I think everybody's paying attention to what's happening with this data. That's the only thing that I can kind of bring it up to. Remember, that's the reason why I said I didn't want to trade yesterday. There's really no reason to be able to trade yesterday. There was nothing there. All right, so XPX 500, what is happening? XPX 500 is still inside of this consolidation, this high volume node. Obviously, looking at it from this standpoint, there's a big chance that the market could be able to move in either direction. We're basically looking at two different positions. If it pushes back up to the upside, then it's going to kind of struggle to be able to break and kind of be able to move past that 3720 area that we end up talking about. But we do have to keep that as a number that could be able to go up to. If it does do that, then that means that it will end up basically pushing back to the resistance numbers that end up happening from this previous consolidation and this overall low, older high volume node, which was at September 23rd all the way until October 3rd. Currently, right now, we're in the middle of a 1, 2, 3, 4-day consolidation. Remember, the more days of consolidation, the bigger the pop of the overall movement that may end up happening. Remember, we ended up talking about two orders yesterday. Those two orders remain to be the same. At 36.35 at the entry at the buy. We look at getting out, it ended up being at 37.21, which will basically end up being the past support turned to future resistance of this consolidation that we end up having from October 4th to October 7th. If it does fall, then it goes back to what we ended up talking about before for those previous orders all the way down to 3,500. That entry will end up being from 35.70 all the way down to 3,500 that I will look at being able to get into for XPX 500. Going to leave this up here for a quick second, and then after that, we've got to move forward from there. I'm not trading in the middle of consolidation. Obviously, people that know me know that I hate trading in the middle of consolidation. You only have a 33% chance of being able to win. So I'm going to let everybody else fight it out, and then after that, we'll figure out what a movement is going to happen from there. All right, US 30. I'm going to refresh my page so everybody can be able to see it. Are we expecting a rise in inflation rate, fall in inflation rate? Good question. I don't know. I would think that there's probably going to be a rise in inflation, but instead of me guessing, I'm just placing orders on the outside of support resistance, and we'll see how the market kind of determines that. Because even with that being said, the market will lie, right? Even though let's say the numbers may be good, but the market fall, or the numbers may be bad and the market pushes up. The numbers are not going to determine how the market is going to end up perceiving it, at least in certain situations. So I'm just going to allow myself room to be able to allow the market to determine what direction the market is going to go. Now, keep in mind, because the market has not necessarily been moving a lot over the course of the last couple of days, when it moves and when it pops, it's going to pop quick. So you got to be able to adjust when the market actually ends up making those movements. Okay, definitely got to be able to adjust. US 30, looking at two different areas. One, we have a consolidation inside of a consolidation. So if you're being conservative when it comes down to this movement and you don't like being able to play on the outsides like me, here goes your conservative numbers. Look at being able to get in at 29,615. Then after that, look at being able to target the past support turn future resistance at 29,860. Now, if it breaks past this area, just like what ended up happening when the market actually ended up falling from the jobs report, which was right here, we may end up seeing that the market may start to push back up toward 30,000. I don't think that we're ready for a push up yet. I just don't. Um, so we do have a contingency plan. That contingency plan will be at 2950. 2950 going all the way back to the natural support, which would be at 29,620 for us being able to get out, which was those numbers that we end up taking a look at when the market was in consolidation from September 23rd to October 4th on next movement. Now, keep in mind, I ended up saying that I was interested in being able to get out at 29,520 before, but I don't know if y'all noticed this. We got a big order block that's right there, even though it's not a bar, but there's a lot of activity right around this overall area. So that's the reason why I'm looking at being able to get out a little bit earlier when it comes down to that movement. Don't like what I see when it comes down to that and trying to hold it any longer. Okay, so two orders got placed in. We'll kind of see how the market kind of reacts off of those. Now, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, then I placed in the entries right outside of these numbers, which will end up being at 29,480. Same deal. You're going to end up targeting the 29,860 number, but now I'll place my stop loss just below. I place my stop loss just below the VWAP. The market ends up breaking, which will end up being at 29,250. 29,250. So that's a 1 to 1.7 risk reward ratio. Not the greatest risk reward ratio, but if it does break, once again, I think that you won't have to worry about that depending on how fast it actually ends up going. My thing is that because of this number, I don't know. Obviously, there's going to be a pop, but the question is how big is the retracement going to go? Is it going to be a full 100% retracement or anything else like that when it does fall? You're looking at being able to short it. Obviously, we're looking at, you could say 29,180, 29,180 as the overall number to be able to pay attention to, and obviously down to the 29,620 number for us being able to get out. Once again, stop loss would be above the VWAP and everything else like that for its movement. This one gives us a better risk reward ratio, so I'm going to raise the stop loss a little bit higher. I would go above the high volume node at the point of control, which would be at 29,400. Okay. So that's aggressive. If you're trying to be a little bit more aggressive when it comes down to that movement, trying to be conservative, 29,600 and 29,440 respectively, trying to be a little bit more aggressive, 29,480 for us to buy, 29,160 for us to sell. Okay. I'm gonna refresh one more time, see if everybody ends up getting that one. Uncle Ron, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. What are the indicators that you use? Good question. I use VWAP, which is that blue line, volume weighted average price. And then after that, I end up using let me pull it up on the screen real quick. If you go to technicals, what you can be able to do is go to volume profile. If you end up going to volume profile, visible range volume profile, that is where I end up taking a look at the high volume nodes and where the market actually ends up exiting off at. Inside of my Discord, I actually end up sharing a link of how you can be able to get all of that, and also how you can be able to share one of my screens so you can be able to not have to change it at all. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hope everything's going well with you. Let me place in these orders real quick. I think I've already done placed in the orders for the first initial movement. Now, keep this in mind. We're taking a look at this from a from an Ikimoku breakout type of standpoint, we're getting very close to, we're outside of the cloud. But obviously, we take a look at the lagging span number. That number has not broken outside of the cloud either. So that's the reason why I have not jumped inside of this market, obviously because of the consolidation, but it hasn't broken out. That hasn't, momentum hasn't broken out of this overall area as well. When the momentum breaks out of this overall area, I may consider being able to get into a buy based off of that, because the hourly is showing me a little bit more of a um, the hourly is showing me a little bit more of a chance to be able to make a move from there. But if we go back and take a look at these numbers once again, we are seeing that 29,480 is the number to be able to look at being able to jump into. 29,480 will probably be the better number to be able to jump into if you're trying to be safe to the upside. Obviously, once again, to the downside, 180. I'm glad I placed that in. I don't have to change that anymore. I already did it. There we go. Last one, Nas 100. Well, no, we'll take a look at GJ as well. I can't, Fatty, I can't leave you off when it comes down to that. You end up asking for that one almost 10 minutes ago. Let's see. All right, Nas 100. I'm just being conservative on this one. I'm not being aggressive on this one. This is what's happening. Market has been going through a downward channel. Because of that downward channel, we're getting very close to the resistance of it again. The question is it truly going to end up breaking out of this resistance and keep on moving? But we can also see box consolidation when it comes down to this overall area where the support is right around 10,750 and the resistance at 10,920. So we end up having two orders. Last week. A couple of days ago that we ended up placing in. We ended up placing in an order yesterday. You got into that order, and if you're still in, basically you're at break even. I sent that out in my Discord to say, hey, get out of that movement, because I didn't like what I seen. Plus, I ended up looking at the CPI information and noticed that was the reason why the market was kind of holding pat on where the market was going to end up moving. So order now is two different positions. So you're looking at being able to scout this. So they end up being right around 10,750, being able to get out at 10,715, which will end up being basically this support area. So that'd be a quick move if you're just trying to see the market kind of getting in and getting out when it comes down to this. Now, we are at the top of the resistance when it comes down to this downward channel. And if we look at the angles that the market has previously made, we can say that more than likely it's probably going to end up falling down to 10,400 or 10,550 safely. I'm saying 10,400 is the number to be able to get out at. And I said that based off of the hourly. So if the market does fall, that would be the position where it would go. If the market does push up for the buy, I would not get in until 10,920. That's me personally. Obviously, you can do what you want based off of that. But we'll be trying to go back after 11,115 if the market does push up when it comes down to that movement. So currently right now, once again, nothing to be able to do. We're still trying to get ideas about how the market's going to react to it. But that would be the play that I would look at being able to do. And I believe I already have those orders placed in. I just want to make sure, because I'm not going to be in front of my computer to be able to place in all of the trades that I want to. Okay, yep, that one's in. Okay, all right, those orders are in as well. Last pair, we'll take a look at GJ, and then after that, we'll get out of here. Love the comments and everything else. I wish I could see them all in real time, but we'll see how everything goes. What goes along with that. Hey man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, fatty. If you making money off of it, godly, keep on playing it. I end up looking at the numbers on this Ikimoku EA that I ended up talking about earlier that I'm going to end up pushing out for everybody that's in the elite, and it ended up doing this brass tax numbers with let's say 2% of the account, $10,000 inside of the account. It ended up pushing from March of earlier this year to where we are as of yesterday, from $10,000 to $80,000, just based off of this breakouts and this riding it down, and obviously compounding of the overall movement. But the numbers to really pay attention to was the profit factor. The profit factor was right around 1.78. Anytime that you can get anything over 1.5, even if it has even if it doesn't have a necessarily a stellar winning record, in which Ikimoku breakouts don't necessarily have a stellar winning record, but they do have, obviously, you love the trade, you run that trade for a longer time, you have a better move. Um, I like the numbers that I end up seeing. So super excited to be able to show what that's going to end up looking like for the people that end up getting to that group. So simple thing that's happening right now is this. 159.50 was the support. The market's basically in the no trade area for me in consolidation. The resistance is at 168. Now, fatty, knowing you probably end up getting in right at 159.50. So that means that you're trying to figure out where you should go if the market ends up getting out. And I think you already have your, I think you already have your number. But if the market does break out 169, 169.94 would be the area where I would look at being able to say, okay, well, I'm interested in being able to get out. Now, from a Fibonacci perspective, the market is above the B. And that's the first time that I've seen that the market be above the B. In, it had to be about a few days at this particular point. So the market is bullish when it comes down to that overall movement overall. Me personally, I just don't like playing inside of consolidation. That's just me. But dailies inside of middle consolidation and then the no trade zone. We had a strong push right there, but it doesn't guarantee that the market's going to push all the way back up and break up to this resistance area yet. So for me, I probably won't do anything. But obviously, you can do what you want when it comes down to that movement. The market is above the B. I will look at the 15 minutes, see if there's a counter trend line break that you can be able to work off of. If there is one, then after that, I'll look at being able to go. There was consolidation. The consolidation has broken out and it has retested already. So keep that in mind as you're being able to make your decision on your movement. But it is primed to be able to go for pushing up. All right, there we go. If you like what we end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that boost button. I do appreciate everyone that end up hopping in this session. Also, make sure that you end up taking a look at what we end up having for our community Discord, all of the stuff that we end up doing for that page. Like I said, I'm going to end up I push out stuff every Wednesday and every Friday for everyone when it comes down to that information. And we're going to end up having more live streams there on Sundays to be able to get game plans, especially once we end up getting more established. We are 20 strong when it comes down to how many people are actually in, but obviously we got way more people that are inside of this community that should be able to take advantage of those information so you can get a lot more education. Trading View does a very good job of being able to place out ideas and everything else like that, but we have a published book area, about 150 books that you can be able to find different things on if you need it for its overall education and indicators and all other stuff. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade and trading your plan. I see each and every one of y'all. On tonight's session. We'll see how everything went. All right. Still working that out, Uncle Ron, but more than likely, it'll probably end up being right around 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm in the States, so we end up going from there. All right.